Plastic has become an inseparable part of our daily lives. Whether it's plastic shopping bags or bottled water, we use it constantly. But once we're done, we simply toss it in the trash. Where does that trash go? Is it recycled? What happens to it? Most of us never think about it. But imagine this. What if I told you that the same plastic you throw away could come back to you through your food and water, ending up inside your body and causing dangerous diseases? Sounds alarming, right? Well, according to recent research, the average person swallows about 5 grams of plastic every week, roughly the weight of a credit card. And this plastic is linked to serious health problems like cancer, infertility, respiratory issues, and more. You might be wondering, how does plastic become part of our food in the first place? Research by an organization found that, on average, a person consumes 1,769 tiny plastic particles every week just from drinking bottled water or even regular tap water. Seafood is another major source of these microscopic particles, called microplastics. Our goal here isn't to scare you, but to warn you. Plastic pollution isn't just killing our beautiful blue planet. It has the power to send humans down a deadly path too. And the sad truth? Most plastic in the world is simply thrown away after use. It isn't recycled at all. To give you a scale, in 2021, global plastic production was estimated at 390.7 million metric tons, growing about 4% every year. Yet, according to the UN Environment Program, UNEP, only 9% of all plastic ever produced has been recycled. The rest? It often washes into rivers, then flows into the sea, where it either sinks to the ocean floor or breaks into microplastics that threaten marine life. This brings us to today's topic. The largest trash dump in the world isn't on land. It's in the ocean. It's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a massive accumulation of plastic waste floating in the Pacific Ocean. How big is it? Let's put it this way. Take the country of France, triple its size, and that's about the area of this garbage patch. Roughly 1.6 million square kilometers, about 617,000 square miles. It's a swirling mass of marine debris located in the North Pacific Ocean. Marine debris means any persistent solid material that ends up in the ocean intentionally or accidentally, including plastic, glass, metal, rubber, paper, and other waste. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, also called the Pacific Trash Vortex, stretches from the west coast of North America all the way to Japan. One part lies closer to Japan, while the other floats between Hawaii and California. These two patches are connected by the North Pacific Subtropical Convergence Zone, a place where warm southern waters meet cold Arctic waters, a few hundred miles north of Hawaii. Think of it as a conveyor belt that moves trash between the two patches. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch isn't just massive, it's growing at an alarming rate. Scientific studies show that since 1945, the amount of plastic in this region has increased tenfold every decade. Even in recent years, the pace has been staggering. Between 2015 and 2022, plastic concentrations jumped from about 6.4 pounds per square mile to 31.3 pounds per square mile. In the same period, the number of microplastic particles exploded from roughly 1 million pieces per square kilometer to over 10 million. A surge that's turning this once living part of the ocean into a toxic plastic soup. Now for the numbers. Measurements from the center of the patch suggest it holds about 80,000 tons of plastic, roughly the weight of 740 Boeing 777 aircraft. And that's just the center. Factoring in the outer edges, the total amount would be far greater. Research estimates there are 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic floating in this patch, meaning about 250 pieces for every person on Earth. If you count all debris, not just the center, the number could reach 3.6 trillion pieces. But the exact number is impossible to calculate because the debris is spread over such a vast area, and much of it doesn't float. Heavier items sink several inches or even meters below the surface, making measurement extremely difficult. You might be wondering, why doesn't the trash just drift away? The answer is something called a gyre, a massive system of rotating ocean currents. The North Pacific Subtropical Gyre spans about 7.7 million square miles and is formed by 4 major currents moving clockwise. California Current, North Equatorial Current, Kuroshio Current, and North Pacific Current. Here's how it works. Imagine you're on a beach in California, holding a plastic bottle. You toss it into the ocean. The California Current carries it south toward Mexico. Then the North Equatorial Current takes it west across the Pacific toward Japan. Near Japan, the Kuroshio Current pushes it north, and finally, the North Pacific Current carries it east toward the US again, where it gets trapped in a rotating whirlpool of trash and stays there, slowly breaking into microplastics. The alarming part? Much of the plastic doesn't sink. Instead, sunlight breaks it into tiny, nearly invisible fragments through a process called photodegradation. These microplastics make the water look like cloudy soup, and satellites can't even detect much of it. And remember, this is just the debris floating at the surface. Studies show that about 70% of marine debris actually sinks to the ocean floor. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch was first discovered in 1997 by Captain Charles Moore during a yacht race. On his return trip from Hawaii to California, he crossed the gyre and saw the massive accumulation of floating trash. Where does all this plastic come from? 80% comes from land-based sources. 20% comes from ships and other marine activities. A 2018 study found that discarded synthetic fishing nets make up nearly half the debris in the Pacific, largely due to increased commercial fishing activity. For marine life, this is catastrophic. Loggerhead sea turtles mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, their favorite food. Albatross seabirds think tiny plastic pieces are fish eggs and feed them to their chicks, causing starvation or internal injuries. Seals and other animals get trapped in abandoned nets and drown, a phenomenon known as ghost fishing. The garbage patch even disrupts the ocean's food web. Plankton and algae, the base of the marine food chain, can't grow properly because the debris blocks sunlight. That means less food for fish and turtles, smaller populations, and eventually, less seafood for humans, at higher prices. So, who's responsible for cleaning this up? Unfortunately, no one. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch isn't in any country's territory, so no government wants to fund its cleanup. Captain Moore says the amount of waste is so massive that if a single country tried to remove it all, the cost could bankrupt them. Still, some organizations are taking on the challenge. The Ocean Cleanup, founded in 2013 by Boyan Slat, remains the most prominent force fighting the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. They've developed advanced floating barrier systems, most recently System 03, designed to capture and remove plastic debris without harming marine life. This is no easy task, since many microplastics are the same size as tiny marine animals, making it critical to design collection systems that are effective yet safe. By late 2024, the Ocean Cleanup had already removed over 20 million kilograms of plastic from the ocean, with their latest technology making operations up to 10 times more effective than earlier systems. In 2024, they also received a $15 million grant from the Helmsley Charitable Trust to further expand the scale and efficiency of their work. Their long-term vision is ambitious: to remove up to 90% of floating ocean plastics by 2040, a plan that also includes intercepting plastics in rivers before they can reach the seas. Governments are stepping up too. The United States, Canada, Japan, and other Pacific Rim countries have rolled out policies to tackle plastic pollution at its source. From banning or restricting single-use plastics to upgrading waste management systems, all aimed at preventing trash from ever reaching the ocean. Even so, the challenge is immense. The NOAA Marine Debris Program estimates that cleaning even less than 1% of the North Pacific would require 67 ships working non-stop for an entire year. That's why the best approach is to stop the problem at the source, reducing disposable plastic use, switching to biodegradable alternatives, and preventing trash from reaching the ocean in the first place. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a crisis we can't afford to ignore. But with innovation, global cooperation, and public awareness, we can turn the tide on ocean plastic pollution. Every small action counts, from reducing single-use plastics to supporting cleanup efforts. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel so we can keep bringing you important stories that matter for our planet's future. Together, we can make a difference.